Welcome to Popcorn Planet. We are live. We've been chatting, and now it's time for our main topic. This main topics always get trimmed on the show to give you the main event, the headline that we offer you in the title. But if you want to see the full stream, sometimes they go 3-4 hours. You could become a member. You'll support the channel, and you'll always catch the full replays available in the members-only playlist on the main channel page. So thanks to everybody who's become members and supported here. My Planeteers, I love you. Thank you so much for keeping us going and supporting the channel. You guys are incredible. But we want to get to this main topic, and this one's a bit of a doozy. Victoria Quigley, thank you. I saw that just come in. Love your content. Keeping us informed. Thank you so much, Victoria, for your support. It means so much to me. So it's a topic YouTube is absolutely suppressing. For some reason, this walks the line depending on what words I say. They don't want us to talk about it. Sometimes they do. It's a very frustrating topic because I think it's important that we have these conversations. How do we prevent this? But platforms like YouTube don't want us to have real conversations. Us independent channels, creators, we don't get the same liberty as the main outlets who are not always being honest to you. And so it's very frustrating, but I'm going to do it anyway because we're live and you guys are here. Let's talk about this. So here's the latest. Ethan Crumbley, the kid from Oxford who, did the actions. I'm not giving him a pass for that at all. He did the actions. He's been arrested. He's going to be trialed as an adult. He's all deserved, in my opinion. He's been appointed a court, the lawyer by the court, because the parents could only afford to hire their own. James and Jennifer Crumbley hired high-profile attorneys Shannon Smith and Morel Lehman to represent themselves, but appear to have declined to foot their son's legal bill. I just settle on that for a second because I want you to really understand what they did. They decided to hire high-profile lawyers to defend themselves and not their child. Now, we knew these parents already weren't parents of the year. We knew we didn't like these parents. We knew these were terrible parents that could have prevented this. The truth is, they probably do need the lawyer more than the son, if we're really being honest, because they're in serious hot water. However, this only reiterates what I've been saying from day one, and I know some of you were challenging me. It all starts at home. And the more and more I read and see about this story, it is no doubt to me why this child did what he did, because of his parents. His parents are despicable human beings. This kid was crying out for help so often and clearly constantly ignored, as these parents were only looking out for themselves. And I'm not trying to justify it and give this kid a slap on the wrist or a pass. What this kid did he needs accountability. However, this kid was robbed of so much, and it makes me so angry. And it makes me angrier at the parents. I'm angry at all of them. I'm also angry at the school board. We're going to get there in a second. I was going to lead with this story, but we're going to get to that in a second. However, let's focus on the story first and here at hand. And no way, please do not misinterpret what I'm saying here. Ethan absolutely must serve his time. Absolutely. We must set a precedent there. However, these parents are worse. I'm sorry, but they are. That's where this came from. People, sure, we could argue, where does the evil come from? It starts at home, guys. It really starts at home. Now, there's certain instances where it's just even good parents, something bad happens. There's just, I get it. There's just some genes or something that make people do bad things. I do believe that too. Something was off with this kid, no doubt. This kid was bullied. This kid had clear problems, but these parents weren't able to parent him. They weren't able to help talk him down from the ledge, to help protect the rest of the school and the other kids, because they knew what he was capable of, and they didn't say anything. That's on the parents, man. That is on the parents. And so to hear this and see this, that now the parents are trying to save their own ass by spending whatever limited money they have, going in debt probably to do this, to save their own ass, instead of just taking the L and trying to at least help their kid now, it only reaffirms what it is. Now, unless this is some brilliant legal strategy, which I highly doubt, but I don't even want to say it out loud because I don't want their counsel to use it. But there's almost a part of me that's like, are they doing this to help the kid so the target on their back's even bigger? See, this kid had no choice. This kid clearly had problems. He was raised in a terrible household. because that's what's happening whether they meant to or not. This is giving me a little bit more like, all right, this kid sucks. This kid clearly has issues. However, it's clear where this came from, and it's from the parents. The fact that the parents thought, okay, let's hire this high-profile lawyer and make the state give our son, so let's hear this. So Ethan has been appointed an attorney by the court after his parents hired their own high-profile legal team, but not a lawyer to represent their son on his murder charges. Paulette Michael Lofton, a little-known defense attorney based out of Rochester, was appointed by court officials on Thursday to represent the 15-year-old. Miss Lofton told the Detroit Free Press she has been appointed at the request of the teenager because he could not afford to hire his own attorney. Defendants are entitled to a court-appointed attorney funded by the taxpayer when they can prove they do not have the funds to pay for their defense themselves. But while the suspects' parents, Jennifer and James Crumbley, appeared to choose not to foot their son's legal bill, they took the step to hire 2 high-powered attorneys to represent themselves before they purportedly went on the run last week. Now, let's not forget, they went on the run last week. They're out there trying to say otherwise, and there was some lawyer where'd that lawyer go? That lawyer's like, peace, see ya. That lawyer's now not there. And now we have 2 new high-profile lawyers to help them while they were on the run, which their lawyer at the time was saying, oh, no, they just didn't get the information, and they're not on the run. They're going to come in. Meanwhile, they were hiding out in some warehouse. We also know Brian Enton has found out they were hiring a warehouse, and the person at that warehouse is now, their lawyer has spoken up as well. I'm going to get to that in a minute, but let's keep focusing on this issue at hand. The Crumbleys had retained Shannon Smith and Mariel even before prosecutors charged them. Oh, wait, so is Sharon... is it the same? Can someone help me? Maybe I'm wrong. Is the lawyer Puff or anybody else who's watching in that room? Do we have a verification? Was the same one who said that they weren't on the run? Is that Shannon or Merrill? So they had retained Shannon and Merrill even before prosecutors charged them, each with 4 charges of involuntary manslaughter. Ms. Smith had represented a number of high-profile clients in recent years, including disgraced gymnastics team doctor and convicted offender Larry Nassir. Oh, my God. Oh, poor Shannon. I mean, is it poor Shannon? Everybody deserves counsel, but my God, the list of her clients. He was sentenced to 60 years in prison. Miss Smith also represented Jumana, who was charged with performing. Oh my Jesus! Crumbley's decision not to pay for their son's defense suggests they may be trying to distance themselves from any culpability for his alleged actions. Criminal defense attorney Bill told Detroit Free Press that the Crumbleys most likely can't afford to pay for their son's expensive murder trial, particularly given that they are facing themselves up to 15 years in prison if convicted. In some ways, the parents have a harder case than the kid. I did say that. I believe that. They're adults. He's a child, and the father bought the gun. The mother made the social media postings. Public officials made public statements that are very prejudicial. Oakland County prosecutor Karen McDonald brought charges against the Crumbleys on Friday, saying they had bought their son the firearm used in the shooting as a Christmas present and ignored multiple warning signs about the impending event. The couple then appeared to go on the run, failing to show for their arraignment that afternoon, sparking a huge manhunt. Law enforcement tracked the couple down, arrested them early Sunday at a studio in a warehouse in Detroit, close to the Canadian border, where they were hiding, which they were. The attorney has repeatedly denied that the couple were trying to evade authorities, instead claiming it was a matter of logistics around when and how they would turn themselves in. Here we go. So this is the update here. Authorities said charges may also be brought against artist Andres Sikora, who allegedly helped the couple hide inside the studio. Mr. Sikora has spoken out to claim that he did not know the couple had been charged when he let them hide out in the commercial space. He apparently, and I think we have the quote here, in fact. Here it is.
Him, my client, in the morning. They called him, my client, in the morning before charges were even announced, and asked for a place to stay to avoid media and death threats that were kind of ongoing throughout the week toward them. He was already there, my client, at his place of employment. They show up, he leaves in and out of the place throughout the day to go to meetings, and leaves to go home at 5 p.m. He believes the entire time that they are in contact with their attorney, and their attorney is going to take and turn them in. That didn't happen. They deceived him. They stayed in a studio till 2 o'clock in the morning, when ultimately they were arrested. They called him, my client.
So there you go.
to
That's the logic there, from the. And honestly, I could see that going either way. I mean, the only thing that's weird is he says there, like, you know, he didn't know until he found out. Well, then why didn't you say something? This guy's the least of my problems right now. There's so much more other stuff going on in this case that it's like not a good look. However, before I get to the school stuff, let's just wrap this up. Ms. Lofton told Free Press she has spoken with her client but would not be commenting on the charges until she receives information on the evidence of the case. There are thousands of pages of discovery that I will need to review so that we can make an informed decision about whether or not we wish to have a preliminary exam. All three Crumbleys are now being held in Oakland County Jail where they are denied any contact with each other. So, yeah, that's the other thing. They're not seeing each other at all. Sorry, that was a alert. Now, as if this couldn't get more frustrating, we have more information coming in from Brian Enton about the school district. What's entirely frustrating here is that the school district is taking zero accountability here. Oxford School District has officially declined the Michigan Attorney General's offer to conduct an independent investigation and what led up to it. I'm extremely disappointed, AG Dana Nacile says. She released the following statement in response. I am extremely disappointed that the school district chose to decline my offer to devote the full resources of the Department of Attorney General to review the events leading up to on November 30th. This tragedy demands a united effort from all of us who serve the Oxford community. Despite this outcome, my department will continue to support the ongoing criminal investigation in Oakland County and look forward to meeting with parents, students, and teachers when they are ready to share their thoughts. To that end, we also remain committed to evaluating opportunities for our department to ensure that students in Oxford and across Michigan receive the protection they deserve that keeps guns out of our schools. I don't get this. I don't understand this because you'd think, right? You would think that you'd want to do everything you can to stop this from happening again, to figure out how it happened and to stop it from happening. But to deny a third-party independent, investigation from the Attorney General, it kind of feels like they're covering something up in my mind. It's kind of like, yeah, we know what happened. We don't need you to tell us. We're good. We got it. Yeah. You don't need to tell us we're accountable. We already know that, and we don't need a bigger spotlight on us. So we're going to reject that third-party investigation because, we already look pretty guilty. So we don't need you to tell us we're more guilty because, that's not going to help us at all. So yeah, we're going to say no to that, but thanks. We're cool here at the school. Just leave us out of it moving forward. We're good. We're mourning. So, no need for a third-party investigation because deuces. That's how it feels like. Super, as we would say, team sus. Throw the sus emojis up. Super sus. Something super shady, which is another word for shady, suspect, suspicious. Something's off here. So I don't know why the school isn't stepping up to help more. This doesn't surprise me. Like as we focus and wrap up sort of the main points we have here, this does not surprise me in the slightest. These parents are awful. These parents deserve justice. We deserve justice against them, and I'm so glad they charged them. I've seen some people like, they shouldn't charge them. They shouldn't charge them. However, in my opinion, nonsense. You have to charge them because if we don't set this precedent here, this kind of stuff will continue to happen again. And there's no doubt that the parents were involved. In fact, I'm curious, before we even get to the school part of it again, we have a clip we can play for Stef. Stef is here. What up, Stef?
What up, everyone? How y'all doing? Hey up.
Doing great. What do you think of this, seeing that Ethan Crumbley's going to now have the court-appointed attorney while the parents are going to spend the money hiring continue hiring the ones they had, these high-profile attorneys, to help defend them instead. What are your thoughts on this, Stef?
How strong can my language be at this point, Andy?
I mean, YouTube is just completely doesn't care about us anymore. They just will, no matter what you say, we're screwed.
Yeah, fuck that shit then. Yeah, those motherfuckers need to go to hell and back. Actually, no, just stay in hell, as far as I'm concerned. Your parents, you need to be doing everything that you can for your child. Like, they're doing, like, nothing to protect their child whatsoever. I don't get it. I really don't get it. I think it's beyond strange, beyond evil, that the parents are treating their son in this way. A parent will forego their own, like, being to be able to make sure that their offspring, their son, their daughter, is protected more than themselves, right? I mean, I'm not a parent, you know, don't get me wrong. I might be talking out of my backside here, and if that's the case, fair play. But to me, these are not parents. These are someone else. And yeah, I mean, when I was streaming yesterday and going through these involuntary manslaughter charges that they've got, because that confused me, because I was like, well, hang on a minute. How can they be charged when they weren't there and they didn't pull the trigger in the first place? It completely confused me. So I was going through these articles and it was explaining a heck of a lot more. And I was thinking, who are these parents? Who are these people? Like, they, to me, were not acting like parents whatsoever, and they continue to not act like parents as far as I'm concerned. So this is all completely fucked up. That kid was doomed as soon as he came out of her vajayjay, really. Like, maybe some people just shouldn't have kids at all. Thinking out loud, whatever. But yeah, really, really bad.
Well,
Yeah.
and then as if it couldn't get worse, here's the I want you to get this report from the school.
Mom, dad, and son all locked up in the same jail. Accused Michigan school shooter Ethan Crumbley's parents were arrested early Saturday morning after a manhunt led police to a Detroit warehouse. The parents' car was spotted outside.
They are in our jail, all three of them, the son and both parents. They are segregated, each individually, in isolation.
This is the Crumbleys' house in Oxford. It's kind of eerie because it almost looks like they left in a hurry and they might be returning home. But we know that won't be happening because the entire family is now in jail.
We've heard extensively from the sheriff and the Oakland County District Attorney, but so far school district leaders are not doing interviews despite the community demanding answers. I tried calling and emailed every single Oxford Community Schools board member and the superintendent, but no response. The administrative offices are locked with a sign on the door that says they're closed to the public.
So are they, I mean, they're not talking to any media? No. Okay. Are they all in there though?
A sheriff's deputy told me administrators were inside, but would not come out. We went to this coffee shop the school board president owns to talk to him, but a sign on the window said, no media.
Could school officials who were in that building face criminal charges? Is that a possibility?
Look, anything is possible, but, you know, I don't want to jump to any conclusions because, again, have that information at this point, but that's a big part of the investigation.
Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel is offering to do an independent investigation into what led up to the shooting. According to a letter the superintendent sent to parents, a teacher reported Ethan Crumbley's disturbing drawing of a gun pointing to the words, "The thoughts won't stop, help me," to the school counselors and the dean of students. Crumbley was brought to the guidance office. His parents were called in, but the district says they refused to take him home and he was returned to class. Hunter Pollock, who lost his sister Meadow in the Parkland shooting almost 4 years ago, says families in Oxford must demand accountability.
But these school officials and these parents have blood on their hand because they knew this kid was going to blow and they let him go back to class. Why didn't they search his backpack? Why didn't they bring a police officer into that meeting so the police officer could assess the student for himself?
And in that letter to parents, the superintendent said that the school counselors used their best experience to make the decisions at the time. And he says that school staff did not have all of the information and the facts that we have now.
Steph, this one bugs me.
Bull.
There's bull. I'm calling bull too.
Oh,
shit. If they didn't have it all, then they should be up for that investigation to ensure that everything was on the up and up. Why run from Attorney General investigation? To me, you run if you're worried, right? What are your thoughts?
Again, as I said yesterday in my stream, not only should the parents be held accountable for, because now I fully understand why they've been charged and it makes sense now to me, but the school, from what I can at least maybe reasonably assume, especially with all the unfortunate shootings that you guys have in America at school, there must be some kind of system in place where children are assessed so that, let's say, children that are high risk of doing something evil like that are pretty much weeded out and dealt with. So with that being said, you've got a child here, Ethan Crumbley, who literally was drawing pictures saying he's got voices in his head to do evil things. Help me, help me. Pictures of people dead after a gun being shot, blood everywhere. He's got access literally to a firearm. The school knew this. The school tried to bring the parents in. I believe on one occasion they did. So they knew that there was something wrong with this evil child situation. And they essentially did what? Really, in the grand scheme of things? They didn't take him out of school. They didn't suspend him. They didn't give him any extra help whatsoever to try and deal with this problem before it went too far. They just basically were part of the problem and let it happen, in my eyes. So the fact of the matter is, not only should the parents and the child be held accountable, but the system that's supposed to identify this before it even freaking happens needs to be held accountable for. Whether that's supposed to be the school, the district, the city council, I don't know. There must be some kind of system in place. I can only safely assume it's the school's responsibility in that case. But for the school to turn around and not answer any questions whatsoever, and from what I understand, reject an independent investigation into what led up to the shooting, for them to even reject that, I'm sorry, what are they hiding? They've obviously contributed somehow to this event happening in some way, shape, or form. My conspiracy, my opinion, my theory, my whatever. There are my thoughts on that one. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. There's something fishy here. Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of cover up is really what it is. When this sort of thing happens, I think people don't want to be taken accountable, especially if they're caught. I mean, we're seeing it right now with Alec Baldwin. Like I posted a video, but I was giving Alec the benefit of the doubt. You know what I mean? When all that was coming down, I was like, you know what? This could be an accident. But Alec's ego has gotten the best of him. Like, he really thought that interview was going to help him, Stef. Like, I'm still, like, floored that he thought, like, disregarding what everyone, all the detectives, departments, everyone's like, don't do this. And then he's like, no, I'm going to do what I want. Screw you guys, you're too slow. I'm going to say what happened. Like, that doesn't help anything. And now what it's done is it's pivoted, and I think there's now more attention and more backlash on him for doing that interview, which he thought was good because he admitted to pulling back the hammer. And just by saying that out loud in the interview, he's proven to me and countless others that's, negligence. If you took the safety that you say you took, which, let's be honest, I've had other people in the industry write me, they're like, Andy, you're right on this one. Like, actors have gotten lazy. They have egos. They don't really follow the protocol, some of them still. And this was a wake-up call that I think Alex sadly needs to be the face of like, you can't make this mistake again. Shouldn't even we work with these things in the first place? Why do we still have active real weapons on these sets? It doesn't make sense either, right? So, but the way I bring it up is there's ego, and I think you're seeing it there, and now a lot of people just think they're going to get away with it. They're not in the wrong, and this one's even worse just because you have so many people. I don't want to say what's worse. They're all worse. They're all tragedies. You know what I mean? But it's like for children in schools that had, there was no reason for any of this to even be close to happening. It's not even like a movie where you have these weapons that can have a mistake. There's absolutely no rhyme or reason why this weapon should have been in the school. And so for the school to now be like, well, we're not, it's really weird. It's really weird and sad that accountability is hard to take, I guess. When I got caught in my own self, Steph, it takes a moment of hard falling to really realize, okay, I did make my own mistakes, right? My cheating, I have to fess up to this. It's sometimes hard to face your biggest things that you've done. So I could see it a little bit, but in this instance, like, enough now, or like, you'd think there'd be some people at that school who'd be like up in arms Like, why aren't we saying anything? Did you do this? Was there a cover up? You know what I mean? That's where I'm torn of what's going on here. So there's a lot to cover. There's a lot to figure out. I see your comments. We're going to get to them. I just want to trim this part for the show. But there's your update on the Ethan Crumbley case. We will keep you posted as this develops. We better get accountability and justice on this one, or else a lot of people are going to be very upset. But as Lewis said, is when are we going to learn? When are we going to ever learn, Stef? I don't know here in this country. It doesn't seem like we ever will. It's always thoughts and prayers, and we move on to the next one. And then, we all get activated again and sad. And then, when are gun owners going to step up and back us, the rest of us up, and say, all right, let's fix this. Let's figure out how we can do this fairly. There are ways to do it. We have to stand up against the big corporate greed and bullshit and politicians, because they're only hurting us, guys. They are not helping us. The NRA, they're all profiting off of these incidences. This is what's so crazy, Steph. They build up this narrative of fear, which isn't even that unfounded in a lot of ways. And that's when these weapon companies amp up their sales, because they know, well, we got to sell more. We've already sold them to all the gun people. How do we get more people scared to buy more? It's just a weird cycle of just people don't even step back to realize what's actually happening in this country. And if we don't tighten it up, we're in trouble. But these companies won't let us tighten it up because they need them to be easy to sell so they can make their profit, pay off. You know what I mean, Steph? It's a circle of corruption. Yay! Welcome to America. Oh, that's depressing. Hit that subscribe if you want to be depressed and hear more stories like this one. Hit the bell for all alerts. Smash that like button. I appreciate you guys watching so much, and thank you for Steph. Steph, the Alternerd, you can find on YouTube as well. Go subscribe there, and we'll get into it. Everyone's seen how the debate's already. It's a slippery slope. It's not as easy as that. Yeah. Of course, this is where it always comes, and then we never solve anything. So let's just keep fighting and saying it's never going to get fixed, and that'll be the better solution, right, Steph? Oh well, we'll tackle this discussion and so much more. Still here live. So if you're watching, don't go anywhere. If you're watching the replay, click on some of these when they're there.